Norsemen, and from Ontario, Canada, Bear Creek Express. Let's meet the players, starting with the home team, Bear Creek Express. Number 3, second base, Brandon Horn. Designated player is number 2, Travis Jones. Left field, number 20, Tommy Inoka. Shortstop is number 4, David Galeno. The catcher, number 51, Ryan Boland. Right fielder, number 16.
Well, good afternoon, fastball fans. Welcome back to the 2024 ISC World Tournament here at beautiful Softball City in Surrey, British Columbia. Blair Setford, Peter Labardi is here with you on the ISC network. Bear Creek Express and Ostrander Norsemen as we continue into the winners bracket games here on day 3, Monday afternoon. And Peter, cross-border matchup between Bear Creek and Ostrander Norsemen, two teams with roughly 500 records over the course of the season. You would think the advantage to the higher-ranked Bear Creek, but the Norsemen really come in after a strong victory the other night over the Sydney Tropics.
Yeah, they won the game 7-1, and the focal point for me, Blair, as I wrap my head around even doing this game very quickly, is the pitching. And I really see that as the most interesting part of the game as you get a look at the Norsemen lineup. That Sean Cleary, the 40-year-old veteran, many-time over all-world pitcher at this event, gets the ball, as you would expect, the ace, against Samuel Villavazzo. As there's the lineup in behind Inoka, Pomeroy, Colin Walsh, the versatile one in right field, Galeno at short, James Horn, and Jason Hill, the great catcher Ryan Boland, who's been catching this guy since they were kids, literally and figuratively. And I'm fascinated. I said it to you yesterday off the air. Sean Cleary, as interested in his performance in this event as maybe any other player.
Well, from the national team's perspective, Sean Cleary is the presumptive ace, as he's been for the last 10 years. With a World Cup next year, you need Sean Cleary to come into that event on a high. It's been an up and down season for Sean for the Bear Creek Express, but as everybody has been doing all year long, they've been building to this event. They had a big night last night with the bats. That is something that Bear Creek needs to do. They don't want to be in a nail-biter here with the Ostrander Norsemen. For the Norsemen, Julian Fernandez will lead things off, followed by Gonzalo Ojeda, Braden Descharme, Brennan Descharme, the young American twins out of the U.S. in Minnesota, followed by Tyron Bartarello, Spencer Yackel, Conrado Zanotini, Brent Meschke in the 8th spot, Tom Check bats 9. But it'll be the top of the order for the Norsemen if they can get things rolling against Sean Cleary. And as we always say, Peter, if you're going to get to Cleary, you want to get to him early.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And he looks to establish all his pitches, including what can be a very good changeup when spotted properly. Fernandez 2 for 4 in the win over the Australian Tropics, or the Sydney Tropics, if you will, and he homered in that game. 7-1 was the final. As far as Bear Creek is concerned, they opened their tournament with a 14-0 triumph over the Walton Brewers.
Yeah, and that's a team that's not in the same weight class, as we've been saying here this week, as the Bear Creek Express. The Brewers won a play-in game for Bear Creek. That was a nice opener for them to get the bats onto a roll, but a big step up to face Sammy Villavazzo. Julian Fernandez flares this one down the left side. It ricochets off the fence. No real play over there for anybody,
including Riley James. We talk a lot and have about the run that Jack Besgrove has had as a young player. When it comes to winning, Riley James isn't far behind, Blair, certainly internationally.
He has had an outstanding last 12 to 14 months, picking up a couple of championships with his Aussie Steelers team. Was in that regional qualifier in Mexico, got on the plane and was up playing in Ontario on Thursday night against Hill United for Bear Creek. So he's had quite the runaround here the last few months. around the
Hermosillo
globe.
to Simcoe. That's not a regular plan of travel, but it was for him that week in June.
Is there a direct flight or no?
You know the answer to that. And I might know a thing or two about airplane travel. There is no direct from Hermosillo. I'm not sure there's many directs from Hermosillo, period, unless it's Mexico City. Then there's some directs.
Change up from Cleary, just stuck the bat out. David Galino will run underneath that one for the first out of the inning. That might be Cleary's best pitch these days, the changeup. He's got obviously all of the tools, but when he dials in the changeup, it just makes everything else so much more effective.
Well, and he threw it twice effectively in that at-bat as he gets Fernandez to start the game and now deals with Argentine national team member Gonzalo Ojeda.
And they're moving positions around too. Ojeda at third tonight. Just off the corner. Kevin Wallace out of Shipman, Illinois, behind the plate. Mike Morrissey from Peterborough, Ontario is at first base. At third, it's Darryl Helmer, Edmonton, Alberta. Just one province to our east. Shipman, that's where he lives, of course. Kevin Wallace, practically an honorary Canadian these days.
Spent a lot of time here. Well, you work enough of these types of events in Canada.
Well, he was one of the exchange umpires, of course, last year, and then famously pressed into duty in the championship game between Toronto Batmen and the Galway Hitmen from Newfoundland and Labrador.
That was quite an event. Sean Cleary was a huge part of it in that 15-inning marathon against Ty Sebastian that the Batmen won 1-0.
1-0, 15 innings. And Ty Sebastian picked right up where he left off from that night yesterday. Toronto Batmen in their first game. Ty Sebastian, not just a perfect game, but 20 strikeouts.
Heard that on my way from diamond to diamond yesterday. That's the kind of performance that I have nicknamed him the Brussels Bulldog. He is from Brussels, Ontario, and pitches like a bulldog. Well, he was obviously at his bulldog best in that game.
And hit a home run to boot.
Well, that's not a shocker either.
No, it is not. Ty Sebastian, among the world's best right now. Gonzalo Ojeda with the walk. Braden Ducharme had himself a good game the other night against Sydney.
Scored a run. I was more impressed with what he was able to do defensively. There are a lot of great shortstop in the world now, and I think Ducharme is one of the dynamite young shortstops. Galino in this game, boy, Blair, has he impressed me this year, whether it's at the club level or internationally.
He has had a stellar season for the Bear Creek Express on a team that self-admittedly haven't hit the ball as well as they would have hoped. He comes in batting .281, batted mostly in the 9 spot for Bear Creek this season, but he's hitting cleanup here this afternoon.
Well, and coming off a 3-for-4 RBI performance in his opening game against the Walton Brewers. So that will tell you how he's feeling about his game, and I love his play at shortstop too.
Defensively, as good as just about anybody here. Cole Evans, Cam Schiller, Shane Boland. There are so many great shortstops in the game. David Galino fits right into that category. Ryan Boland holds it there for Kevin Wallace to get a good look, and they're chatting and nodding, and they're in agreement that that's where the pitch was. I don't know if they're in agreement on whether it was a ball or a strike, but Kevin's got the last say, and we've got a 2-2 count on young Braden Ducharme.
Braden looking for his first hit of the tournament. He did score a run the other night, but was 0 for 2.
Upstairs, we'll run the count to full. And yes, that's what stuck in my mind too, and kind of led you in the wrong direction there with saying he had a good night the other night. He had a good night defensively, really impressed us with his skills.
6 for 13, though, offensively in this event last year in Denmark, Wisconsin.
Swing and a miss. Sean Cleary runs the count to full, but he strikes out Braden Ducharme.
Sean had 8 strikeouts in his 3 innings of work in the opener against the Walton Brewers as he tuned up for this round of 16 affair.
Brennan Ducharme now to the plate, the right fielder for Ostrander.
These kids are fun.
Goes after the rise ball. And if Sean is going to be effective, he'll need that pitch here this week to elevate it up out of the zone and to get guys to chase. And gets a called strike there on the outside of the zone, and he'll look for that pitch again and again, and they'll try to expand the zone just a little bit further out off the plate.
Well, and that's always what happens in the early part of the game is pitcher and umpire, in a sense, you learn one another, what you can do, where you can go, where you can't go. That's always an interesting part early in games.
Yeah, how far can you take it outside before it's a ball? Or how far in do you have to bring it to get the strike?
And sometimes, is it a higher strike zone? Is it a lower strike zone? Because the last rise that happened before the most recent pitch had to be, Blair, from our vantage point, right at the top of the zone.
Kevin's going to have a lower strike zone. He'll give a little bit on the corner, but it will tend to be lower, probably high belt and down. Called strike 3 there. That's going to be right on the edge of the zone. So Cleary picks up a pair of strikeouts, gets a pop-up and a walk. Will go to the home half of the first. Bear Creek Express will come to the plate. Well hit, deep right field. It's curving. This one, well hit to deep right field this time, and that one is gone. Trying to put it away is Jack Besgrove. The New York Gremlins are world champions.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Start spreading the news, Joe Todd. It's New York, New York. The veteran Brandon Horn will lead things off for the Bear Creek Express. He'll be followed by Travis Jones in the DP spot. Tommy Anoka, David Galino, as we talked about, bats a surprising 4th for Bear Creek. Ryan Boland hits 5th. Colin Walsh, Jason Hill, Riley James down in the 8th spot, and Jordan Pomeroy has gone from the top down to batting 9. You see the lineup there. Defensively for the Ostrander Norsemen looks like this. Tom Check in left, Spencer Yackel in center, Brennan Ducharme in right field. And around the horn, Gonzalo Heda, Braden Ducharme, Brent Meshke, Tyron Bardo. And it's Sammy Viavazzo pitching to Conrado Zanatini for the Norsemen.
Same combination as the other night, and Viavazzo, who delivers a strike, Blair, impressive, a 7-inning shutout in that game, or not a shutout. He won it 7-1. He gave up 1 run on 2 hits. He struck out 13 Tropics batters.
And he mixed in change-ups, change drops, change pitches. I don't know if you call them a rise ball, but certainly up in the strike zone. I thought he did a brilliant job of mixing speeds.
He was very, very impressive. There's no doubt about that.
This is inside here.
Brandon Horn, 38 years old, from Waterloo, Ontario, 3 for 14 in last year's ISC World Tournament, 0 for 2 in the opener versus the Walton Brewers.
Brandon it ended up being 2 years off the tournament circuit. It was about 4 years in actual time. As said, after 2019, I'm going to take a break. It really wasn't until 2022 that he came back, but there was really 2 years where we didn't play in there. So effectively, it was only a 1-year retirement.
And he's enjoyed lots of success at this event, a 4-time all-world player.
This one is flared out to short left. Tom Check will take 4 steps in and pick that off for the first out of the inning. Brandon Horn was a teammate in the Toronto Gators in 2016 and was a huge difference maker. Batted 2 for us that year, was spectacular defensively, but also just a stabilizing influence. And I thought he was a real difference maker for us that year.
It's interesting you mention that, because that's how he carries himself, just to watch from the outside looking in.
Travis Jones, first pitch swinging, 1 hopper to short, and out by a step. Braden Ducharme with that good arm, the transfer. Watch Travis Jones and how hard he goes after this pitch.
Look how quick this release is.
Yeah, in and out of the glove, and a good strong arm from the hold and short.
I'm so impressed with the young shortstop of the Norsemen, Braden Ducharme. He looks like he has a very bright future. He looks the part. He's got great range. He has an excellent throwing arm, and if you appreciate good defense, this guy has it going on.
Thomas Anoka, now the veteran from New Zealand. Tommy was always the younger brother to Ben Anoka, but he's the veteran these days, and plenty of success on his own.
Blair, he was excellent at the World Cup Group B qualifier in Prince Albert. And it's interesting, you talked about the stability of Horn. This guy makes me feel the same way when I watch him.
Well, he's got plenty of versatility. He plays left field. He can play second base. He's actually done a little bit of time even at shortstop this year for the Express. Can play first in a pinch, and even can pitch if you need him to, if you get that deep into the pitching ranks with Bear Creek. And they did a couple of times this year employ Tommy on the mound. Well, or at least New Zealand certainly did,
I was going to say, he threw in Prince Albert an inning here and an inning there. Certainly maybe not against Canada or Argentina, but...
No, and those wouldn't be the innings you would expect from Tommy Anoka with the Black Sox. But to chew up some innings against the likes of the Philippines or Hong Kong or Singapore, he can easily do that. Comes in batting .265 for the Express.
And that, of course, you're talking about is their yearly totals.
That is their yearly total, yeah. And this one is lifted up to short left as well. And at the last second, Tom Check gets the call. Braden Ducharme looked like it was going to be his ball, but he was still backpedaling, and that has got to be Check's ball all day. He does make the out. So 3 up, 3 down go Bear Creek in the bottom of the first inning. We'll go to the top of the second, scoreless, just getting underway here on the ISC network.
How confident are you in your organization's security posture? If your answer isn't 100%, you're not alone. Most organizations aren't doing enough to protect their data, and they know it. With Armitage technology, you can stop worrying about IT security issues so you can focus on moving your business forward. Our experienced staff monitor and maintain your IT infrastructure to keep your business running. Visit us at armitagetech.com and make your technology work for your business.
Tyron Botterillo, Spencer Yackel, and Conrado Zanatini for the Ostrander Norsemen here. Top of the second inning, Tyron Botterillo, Peter, has been such a good hitter for so many years in this game.
Most certainly has. He's from Christchurch in New Zealand. He helped New Zealand guarantee themselves a spot in next year's Men's World Cup in Prince Albert with an effort where he went 4 for 15 with a home run and a couple of RBIs. In his opening game here, he drove in 2 runs against the Sydney, or if you will, Australia Tropics.
His time here in the ISC goes all the way back to I remember watching and commentating on a game with him in Midland, so that was either 2010 or 2012.
He's an all-world player with the Bloomington Sticks in the year 2017. Always admired his approach. Has a good eye. I don't find him to swing at a lot of poor pitches.
I've always thought of him as one of those professional hitters. He brings a pro's approach to every at-bat. And certainly a good eye there as he works the walk against Cleary, the leadoff walk. Second walk of the game for Sean, and you don't often see him walking a guy in an inning. Usually it's 1, maybe 2 in a game. Sean always fastidious with the landing area. He does so much landscaping out there, making sure that it's level, it's pristine. And honestly, if I was jumping and landing like Sean, I'd want to make sure I wasn't jumping into a landmine either.
Facing Spencer Yackel, who's from Shoreview, Minnesota. He was a second-team All-Star at the recently completed ASA National Championship. In search of his first hit at the 2024 ISC. He was 0 for 3 in the win on Saturday night.
Well, they're thinking short game and showed bunt, pulled it back, but a called strike from Kevin Wallace.
I don't think Sean is interested and ever has been in getting away from his routine.
Puts down the bunt. James will come up with it and throws a strike. Low strike, but a strike nonetheless to Brandon Horn.
Yackel got down the line in a hurry, gives himself an opportunity. This is a good sacrifice bunt. Gets out in front, lays it down, and not an easy pitch to bunt. It was a rise ball up and in a little bit, but he handled it beautifully and forced the young third baseman, James, to make a very strong throw to get the out at first.
So a scoring opportunity for Ostrander here in the second. Conrado Zanutini, the catcher. Spent a couple of years in Wisconsin with the AHI Reapers. Last year with the Ohio Bombers.
Oh for 3 in his first game. He was 3 for 9 with the Bombers last year.
And that's a dead ball foul at the plate. Conrado from Argentina.
I haven't been able to track it yet, Blair, but if I do this event again with you guys next year in Mankato, my Argentina research is going up. And here's why. I know everyone is not from Parna.
They just happen to live there now.
No, well, not necessarily. I think they all gather there.
Well, that's where the league is. That's
Right,
where they
right,
all play.
right.
Yeah.
But I'm going to guess that the hometowns are a little more varied than what it shows. Maybe not.
Out to short left. Tommy Anoka will make the jog in to record the out on Zanatini. Well, Huemo Mata, I believe, is from a little town called La Pampa, which is not too far from Paraná.
Well, I'm not suggesting that you have to go very far to get there. I'm just suggesting I don't think every birth certificate has that name on it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
I don't know why. It's become a bit of a thing for me this year. Not everybody can be from there in a country of that size, even though I know it's a hotbed of the game. The birth certificates are a little different.
Brent Meschke to the plate, the 8-batter for Ostrander.
Who hails from Lake Crystal, Minnesota. 4 for 13 in last year's World Tournament. And had a hit in the Ostrander Norsemen opening game victory Saturday.
Over the top, that's the good drop ball from Sean Cleary on the outside corner and just dives off the table.
Sean looking to get into a groove, and when he gets into one, he can be as difficult to deal with in this sport as anyone, and has been for a very long time.
Just misses downstairs. Peter, I will check this in between innings, but I'm going to go by memory, and usually pretty good, although increasingly faulty. Sean is, I believe, in the top 10 all-time in wins here in the ISC World Tournament.
I wouldn't even question that for 1 second. In fact, I'd be shocked if he wasn't. But that's a long list, too.
Lifting up and out of play, foul.
Yeah, I always recommend not trying to catch that if you're not wearing a glove. Looks like Adam Folkert is getting loose on the topic of guys who have won a few games at this event.
Yes, and there's a guy who's in the top 5 all-time. Wait, I was talking with Jeff Goulagon yesterday, and I had done some research onto it. You've inspired me to do this, by the way.
Oh.
Jeff, the first Australian to go into the ISC Hall of Fame, and then I got to thinking, boy, there's going to be a rush following him.
Is there ever?
Cleary sets down. Meschke picks up his 3rd strikeout of the game. Ostrander, strand 1 at second. We'll go to the bottom of the second. Still looking for a run in this one.
He came from Australia with a superstar pedigree. And from his first ISC in 2003, you knew he was going to be something special. 6 times All-World, a 3-time ISC champion, and now the first Aussie inducted into the ISC Hall of Fame. From counting materials and the farm in Wisconsin, to Kitchener, to finding a home in the New York Gremlins colours. Congratulations, Jeff Goolagong, from all of us.
The annual Boys of Summer tournament is held every July at the Circle Tap Bar and Grill in Denmark, Wisconsin. We host some of the top teams in the game at one of the best venues in softball. The atmosphere of old-time fast pitch with all of the amenities of a full-service bar and grill in the grounds can't be beat. Reduced-rate hotels about 10 minutes from the park are available in Green Bay. To bring your team to the annual Boys of Summer tournament next July, contact Dean Kane at deankane16@gmail.com. Thanks to Circle Tap for their support of the broadcast program.
Leading off, bottom of the second inning for Ontario.
David Galino, shortstop for Bear Creek. And Peter, you could tell it's David Galino, I think, from outer space with those fluorescent batting gloves.
Yes. Those are very easy to notice. Bright pink for the 26-year-old. Now, is this not the same Galeno who represents Venezuela?
He does, yes.
Even though I'm not sure he was born there.
Well, I think he was born there, but he lives in Mexico now, is my understanding.
That's the situation. Well, he definitely competes and was terrific, by the way, earlier this year as he dodges the Villavazo pitch at the World Cup qualifier. He was 7 for 18, Blair, with a homer, 4 runs batted in, was also solid at the Pan American Championship back in April.
All-World last year for Bear Creek. Misses inside, and ball 4 to David Galino, first base runner for the Express this afternoon.
And he was 3 for 4 with a home run and 4 runs batted in against Walton in the Bear Creek Express opening game victory.
So I'll bring up Ryan Boland, Captain Canada, the Iron Man. Ryan Boland.
36 years of age from St. John's, Newfoundland. Will turn 37 on the 5th of October.
And the Express are going to need Ryan Boland to bring the offensive prowess to his game here this week, along with what he does defensively and the leadership skills. Those never in question. But they need more production from Boland. They need more production from Walsh, from Hill. These guys are the veterans at this point. And this team can't be carried by Travis Jones and Riley James.
There's a change-up from Villavazo. We saw a lot of those and a lot of effective ones in his 13 strikeout performance on opening night. That one up and out of the zone to Boland.
Just off the plate, so 2 balls, 2 strikes. Terry Bader, who gave the introduction speech for Brad Rona at the Hall of Fame breakfast, although the order was reversed as we were worried about Brad's time on the Zoom call. Talked about the leadership that Brad and Ryan provided on that Toronto Gators team in 2016, being the uniting forces for the Canadian side and the New Zealand side, and bringing the two of them together on that Gators team that year.
Well, that arguably still is one of the great, if not the greatest, softball rivalry ever, nation to nation. It might not be what it once was, with others entering that elite picture in the names of Argentina and Australia in particular, and growing, I might add.
Well, I think you could throw, and it's funny how, and here in Canada, we always think about the Canadian rivalry with insert your favorite country here. The one between Argentina and Venezuela is pretty significant too.
That doesn't surprise me for a second.
Up and in to Boland. And he gives a little whoo.
What a reaction.
Yeah. And that was more than 56, I'll tell you that. I think that was the throwback, not the pitch. Watch this. Just gets out of the way of that one. The boom mic down there that allows us to hear that. A little innovation. Here's a squib that takes 2-3 turns on the infield. That's how much English was on that one. And effectively a swinging bunt by Ryan Boland to get David Galino up to second base. A long at bat, but look at the English on that ball as it rolled out towards Brent Meschke.
You would think as the second baseman that you wouldn't have to be really careful with that. You had to be really careful with that. It was spinning like a top. And you're right, Boland won't get credit for a sacrifice, but he ends up getting that job done nonetheless.
Colin Walsh to the plate with a runner in scoring position. Peter, the last 2 or 3 years, particularly based on the league play, you would have said Colin Walsh may be the best player in Canada in league play. He was the 2-time playoff MVP in the St. John's League. And that's, of course, where Sean Cleary plays, Brad Ezekiel plays, Jason Hill, and all of the other top Newfoundland Labrador players, Jordan Pomeroy, but it was Colin Walsh who was the top player in that league 2 years running. And back onto Team Canada. He missed the 2019 rotation, but was one of the core guys that was named for what ultimately became the 22 team.
Well, here's what I love about Colin Walsh and why I think he'll be part of Canada's 16-player team next year in Prince Albert. Versatility. He gives you a left-handed option as a pitcher. He can hit. He plays well in the outfield. There's always some spots for a guy like that, Blair. They're hard to find.
Yeah, they absolutely are. He is one of only a handful of right-handed batters in the lineup as well. He, Bradley Ezekiel, not too many other righties for Canada. It is mostly a lefty-laden lineup.
There is Avery, there is Hunter. So it's a little bit more balanced than you might think. But, yes, there's a lot of left-handed pop, certainly. But this is another option, and like I said, what I love about him, he might be one of the more underrated players in the sport.
And he brings an edge to his game, too. He's certainly not as edgy as Zenon Winters, but he's a guy who will give somebody a shove, who will play hard, if you will.
He had a hit in 5 of the 6 games in this event last year with Bear Creek, and they had a great run, as you know. The only game he didn't have a hit in was the championship final.
Well, and they ran into the Best Grove buzzsaw. They actually jumped out to an early 1-0 lead on a Pomeroy home run, but Best Grove just bowed his neck and said, no, that's it.
Colin, 31 years of age, from Petty Harbor, Newfoundland. As you mentioned, his prowess in that part of the world in league play. He was a very competent 300 hitter for Canada in the most recent Men's World Cup in New Zealand in 2022, where Canada lost Australia in the gold medal final.
Well, he and Ryan Boland were the only guys to get any type of offense going against Jack Bestgrove in that game. So that's why I think he'll be somebody that's going to be on that team. As you said, can play corner outfields. Here's a high hopper on the infield. Viavazo is going to have to hurry and then wisely just puts that ball into his glove. Why risk throwing it down the line and giving it a free run if you have to rush to throw that much to first? Walsh runs very well. Galino, see, you weren't going to get Walsh there. Galino was already at third.
And there's another little element for Walsh, who got down the line pretty well in that case. By the way, away from where the ball went, I did see Galino and Ojeda with a very nice friendly exchange. So the rivalry not on so far yet today between Venezuela and Argentina.
Somebody might want to tell Roman Godoy about that one.
No, don't.
Back in, where was that now? These two teams played each other, and it turned into a bit of a beanball fest. Might have been the Chiefs Challenge.
It was.
Yeah.
I remember
yeah,
it
well, I don't know.
quite
Maybe
well.
you were doing that game. I wasn't on that particular
I
game.
was.
But Larry Lynch took
yes.
exception to.
He sure did.
Yeah, because David got plunked twice. Jason Hill at the plate, the veteran. Game-winning hit in the 2021 ISC championship game. Drove in the runs that were the difference for Hill United Chiefs. Spent over a decade with the Chiefs. Came over to Bear Creek. This is his second season now with the Express.
He'll turn 40 on the 12th of September.
One of three remaining players from the Farm Tavern still playing in the ISC. Zenon Winters, Robbie Schweier, the other two.
In some of his great years, you have to go back to 07, 08, and 09 with the Farm when he was a three-time consecutive all-world player.
Well, and certainly had a case for it in 2021 as well. This one is laced to the gap out in left center. That's going to fall in for a base hit. Here comes Galito to score easily. They throw out the stop sign for Walsh. Jason Hill gets the Express on the board with an RBI double.
Can still get it done. He had a double in last year's event. Did not drive in a run amongst his 4 hits in Denmark, Wisconsin, but he has an RBI here in Bear Creek, off to a good beginning thanks to Jason Hill's run batted in.
Well, that might be the spark that this Bear Creek team needs, Peter, because honestly, meh so far, but that's a first hard hit ball, and maybe that's something that can light this team up.
Well, remember, they're coming off a 14-0 victory, and I think when you refer even the way you just did, isn't that maybe the adjective for their season rather than what we're seeing now?
Oh, you would absolutely make that case. This one is hit out to left. That will score a run. Hill gets the stop sign, but Riley James hitting is contagious, and he's got it as he picks up that RBI here for the Express. Inside out swing, it's a good one. Flares that out to left field. 2-0 now for Bear Creek.
Riley James delivers. He's now 2 for 2 in the tournament with 2 runs batted in. He's 21 from Queensland in Australia. What a year he had. Well, in 1 year, he won the World Men's U23, the U18 World Cup, and finished second in the 2020 U18 World Cup, which was played, I believe, in the early part of 2020 prior to COVID.
That's right. Yeah, that was about the last major international event prior to all the shutdowns.
Did have a tough time in Hermosillo, Mexico for Australia, as he was on that team in the first of 3 qualifiers.
Jordan Pomeroy, 9-batter for the Express, just falls out of reach. Bartarillo went right over to the fence and leaned over.
Jordan really came on for Canada with the senior men's team in Prince Albert. Hit a lot of balls hard, Blair, early in the tournament, and then got on a roll relatively late. He's another Newfoundlander with a very bright future.
And this one is lifted out to left. Boy, he's been a busy guy out there today. Tom Check. Oh, the throw is intercepted on the way in. Thought I would have been interested to see how that would have worked out at the plate, but Gonzalo Ojeda with the cutoff.
That might have been close. Check settles under it. Strong throw, and a throw that looked to be on line. maybe off, and maybe the reason it's cut, because that's all about the catcher making that decision right there. He'll move the cutoff man and also let you know in that case whether you should leave it or cut it. But it's a sacrifice fly and another run scored off the bat of Jordan Pomeroy.
So back to the top of the shop for Brandon Horn to get his second look at Sammy Villavazo. And this is something that Sydney couldn't do the other night, Peter. They just couldn't string together a couple of base hits. So Villavazo facing some adversity for the first time this year in the World Tournament. Horn fly out to Yackel in center field. He'll pull that down for the final out, but Bear Creek push across 3 runs on 3 hits. A productive inning for a team that's been looking for productivity.
There were no errors. There was 1 runner that's on base.
Well, Tom Check, who did a lot of running around in left field, has collected his breath, and he'll lead things off in the 9 spot for the Ostrander Norsemen. Then back to the top of the shop for Julian Fernandez and Gonzalo Ojeda. Sean Cleary, even slow, Peter, through the warm-up phase prior to the inning here. Very deliberate, and you talked about wanting to be in that routine for everything that he does.
Yeah, you can tell, and really been able to, and I've chatted with some people about it. He is absolutely an athlete who is very much a creature of routine, and it's treated him well for a long time.
Oh, that play hit a foot divot in behind Cleary, and it took a turn. Watch the replay. This ball just turns on Brandon Horn, and it's enough to make a difference for Czech to beat out an infield single.
Well, Czech runs really well.
Right there, it turned on Horn.
You know, even in hindsight, though,
Right
Blair,
here.
I'm not so sure that he doesn't do as well with it, even if it stayed on the correct path. Maybe not, but
I think it's the difference in having to throw off balance versus having to throw as you're planning to.
would have been a tough play, I think you would
Regardless.
suggest,
Yes.
with the way Czech runs regardless, as he's
Without a
aboard on an infield single.
It's strange how the game turns, isn't it? Just little things. It may not lead to anything.
Always.
Fernandez here now. He's thinking bunt. Strike on the outside corner.
And so far, Cleary in the game from the home plate umpire Wallace, for the most part, has gotten that belt or just slightly above the belt pitch.
Well, Kevin Wallace works enough of the big tournaments that for Bolin and Cleary, they will know what they've got to do to get a strike from Kevin Wallace.
That one, of course, is not going to result in a strike regardless of who the home plate umpire is. That's well out of the zone. Fernandez has some pop. He homered in the game against the Sydney, Australia Tropics on Saturday.
Well, he went after that one for sure.
He's arguing that he checked his swing.
No, you didn't.
It was close to being a strike nonetheless, I thought, as well. Bear Creek has opened it up with a 3-run bottom of the second.
And tries to wave at that one. Not a great at bat, to be honest, from Julian Fernandez. The bunt attempt almost half-hearted, waving at strike 3. Gonzalo Ojeda. We'll see if he can have a better AB here for the Norsemen.
Gonzalo looking for his first hit in the last 2 years at the ISC World Tournament. 0 for 5 as a member of the JB Bombers 1 year ago, and then 0 for 2. He walked his first time up today.
Ojeda, a member of the 2012-2014 era Argentina junior men's national team. Federico Olheiser, who was prominent here in the AWP game in the matchup before this one, also from that era.
There's a lot of players here from that era and that program. Turned a country into a powerhouse, Blair. That's what that era did. Paved the way for the 2019 World Championship in Prague, won by Argentina. They were just held out of the gold medal final in 2022 in New Zealand.
There's a called strike, and people will forever debate the rule application, not whether it was applied rightly or wrongly, but whether it should have even come into effect, come down to a tiebreaker ruling as to who gets to go to the gold medal game and who doesn't. Australia ultimately winning the game unquestionably and earned their way in, but this one lined out to right, and a sliding catch, and a good one by Colin Walsh. And I'm sure the Team Canada brass watching that one when they're thinking about their defensive lineups. This is a gem.
Well, I think what's really important here is he gets a great read off the bat. He comes like crazy on contact, goes down on one knee to get underneath it and make sure that he's in good position, and did a nice job too, Blair, to bounce up. He took a quick peek in terms of a potential double-up scenario, but made the smart play, held up a little, and then went to second instead of trying to get check at first.
No, you don't need to make the hero play there. Check, who had gone about halfway to second base, turned and retreated pretty quickly. Braden Ducharme, strikeout swinging in the first. Fouls this one hard off. And Sean Cleary, the Iceman, having a little bit of fun, making motion like he was going to throw out.
Which I really like to see from him.
Sean is a super guy. Got the opportunity just to catch up a little bit at the Hall of Fame breakfast. He's a super guy. He just shows zero emotion out here on the field. That's his persona, and that's how he plays the game.
There's the change, and a very, very competent one. Sean has 4 strikeouts. He's given up just the one hit, and it was the infield single earlier in the inning to the base runner, Tom Check.
Gets him to chase the rise ball up and out of the zone for strike 3. Picks up another 2 Ks. That's 5 on the game now for Sean Cleary. Ostrander get another runner aboard, but once again, they can't move him around. 3-0 for Bear Creek. We'll go to the home half of the third. The Express coming back up.
Ouch.
Ouch.
A dream catcher.
Did that hit that poor
Inch
woman?
by inch.
I don't even know where it came from. It
We'll
must have
fight
come
to
off
live
the
the
roof and
lives
over.
First Nations
Yeah.
people in this community,
Holy smokes.
this province,
Everybody okay?
this continent better. You know we have a long way to go.
You
But
all
I'm
right?
proud to say, as long as our people have a need,
Yeah, you okay?
Dreamcatcher will be there for them.
There's nothing I can do about it. Just want to make sure everybody's okay. Hang on, wait for the music. Larry Lynch engaged in an active conversation, holding up the game.
There's a first
I know.
of the day.
Bottom of the third inning for Bear Creek. Number 2, Travis Jones.
That's a lot of syllables right there.
That's the entire alphabet in random order.
I'm going to learn it, though. I'm going to learn it before the end of the week.
No, I'm not even going to try.
You just about did.
In my head, I did.
Oh, I
might
did
have got
too.
it.
I did too.
Say goodbye to this one. Travis Jones hits this one all the way to the Grey Bruce Peninsula back in Ontario. Gets out of this ballpark in a hurry. Got all of that one, Travis Jones. A solo bomb, make it 4-0 for Bear Creek. And this team that was worried about the offense, they're getting it right now.
Well, Travis Jones is off to a great beginning here at Softball City, and this one, as Blair described so well, it left the yard in a heartbeat. And Bear Creek ups its advantage to 4-0.
So some adversity here for Sammy Villavazo, and not in the traditional bullpen, but Ostrander has got somebody warming up on the other side of the footpath. Likely Matias Echeverres. Or it could be Julian Fernandez, the DP. One hop to Sharm. Wow, this kid can play defense. Throwing on the run across the body, and he tosses a bullet over to first.
Watch him take the, sorry, Blair.
No.
The short hop, the release, as you mentioned, a little off balance, and just absolutely throws a strike over there to get Anoka. He is impressive.
Yeah, the future's bright for Team USA with these Ducharme boys. Up and into David Galino. I was chatting with Nick Mullins while you guys were doing the AWP Grand Prairie game, and we were talking about the USA program, and they've got so many good youngsters coming. The future really does look bright for Team USA. It's a program on the rise, and we were just talking about, the veterans on Team Canada and how many guys are likely going to say 2025 is the end of their national team time. There's going to be a lot of places to fill on Team Canada.
There is, and the key area moving forward in this sport is always one in particular, and that's pitching. It's not the only area.
Yeah, I mean, Ty Sebastian probably becomes the presumptive ace. Schofield maybe if he's still around. I think Justin probably will be, but he and Ty will likely be the guys that Team Canada is going to be looking at. Riley Mannion, who we saw earlier today, but he's got some work to do to be national team caliber. He's in the pool, but there's some work to do without a doubt. He'll be the first to tell you. But positionally, who's the next catcher? McKay? Maybe?
Maybe McKay. I know that people have talked a little bit about Derek Hyde in that category of the Toronto Batman, and he was part of a development event earlier in the year for Team Canada that was staged in May in Kelowna. There's another Galeno base hit.
Pulls this one through the gap between first and third and continues his hot hitting here this week. But Ryan Boland has publicly stated he's been waiting for somebody to reach out to him because he's got all this intelligence that he wants to pass on. He's waiting for somebody to do that.
Well, somebody should absolutely, whether it's the two guys that we talked about or anyone else, because you could not learn from a better person. You just couldn't.
High hopper, step on the bag, Boland. Again, another swinging bunt and advances. Are we calling that a dead ball? Nope, that is an out.
Nope,
I just saw Mike Morrissey point back in the general vicinity of the plate, but that is an out.
So Travis Jones unloaded a blast well out of here to right center and beyond to up the Bear Creek lead to 4.
Walsh singled, came around to score in the second. It was an infield single. But 5 hits now for the Express through 3 2/3. Not even, sorry, 2 2/3. And that's through the 5.5 hole. Galeno gets the wave. Here's the throw, cut off again, and wisely so. They weren't going to get him.
Colin Walsh, 2 for 2, and now he has a run batted in. There's the 31-year-old from Petty Harbor, Newfoundland, who also made a fine sliding catch defensively in the game, continues to contribute for the Express.
So Jason Hill, who had that RBI double in the second inning, gets another look here at Sammy Villavazo in the third, and 5-0 now for Bear Creek. Swing, and that gets a bite out of the catcher.
These are the days, Blair, at this event, started with 36 teams, where you really have an opportunity to understand the difference in level. Villavazo looked unhittable Saturday, but this is not the Sydney Tropics.
No, this is a different team. Bear Creek came in ranked 4th. Let's not forget this team were finalists last year. They made some changes, but more in the coaching staff. Adam Falkard, the big acquisition. They lost Quentin Bruce, brought in Tommy Anoka. So some changes here on the margins. But this is largely the same team that went to the finals last year. They haven't forgotten how to play.
No, and they have some key guys who aren't even in the lineup today so far. I haven't seen Tyler Paulai. I think he's still with them, is he not?
He is. He's here.
And
Tyler Paulai, Wayne Laulu.
Jeff Lyons.
Jeff Lyons was actually probably their best hitter, but I think he's nursing an injury at this point. Chopper in the infield, off the glove, and then back to him. Tyrone Bartarillo just slowed it down enough for Brent Meschke. 3-4-3, if you want to be technical about it in the book. But Bear Creek pick up a couple more. One of them, a big solo bomb from Travis Jones. 5-0 now, and this train is rolling for Bear Creek.
Does your game need work? Want to get better every game, every at-bat? You need Lumberjack Sports, focusing on exceptional quality and providing players with reliable, long-lasting product. Lumberjack Sports brings you in-game equipment and off-field workout gear, designed and tested by top fastball player Nick Shales. Hard work, strength, and all-around commitment to getting the job done, and done right, is the motto for Lumberjack Sports. Learn from the best. Play like the best. Check out lumberjacksports.ca.
So Brennan Deschamps, Taran Barterillo, Spencer Yackel for Ostrander. Peter, they've had solo base runners in each of the first 3 innings. Have the Norsemen need to string a couple of hits together here and try and push one across to get back into this one.
So true, and yet their only base hit was an infield base hit by Tom Check in the last inning, and Sean Cleary has very much settled in to the type of elite pitcher that we have expected him to be each and every year, and trying to continue the trend in 2024.
And we did do that between innings research, tied for 8th with the win yesterday.
Up to 42 now in his ISC career.
And that's pretty elite company, too.
Very much so.
Ties him with Todd Martin and Paul Alger. Both first ballot Hall of Famers. A little further down the road at 48 wins would be Mike Piechnik and Gerald Muslar.
They were pretty good.
They were both good. Piechnik, one of the top 3 lefties of all time, arguably up there with Brad Underwood and Ty Stofflet.
No argument from the guy beside you on that account. Peaches. That was Mike Piechnik's nickname, Peaches.
And native to BC.
Yeah.
Victoria.
From Victoria. Absolutely. I loved watching him throw.
Upstairs again, Brennan Deschamps. Cleary has got the Deschamps boys' number as getting them to chase that rise ball up.
Well, the Deschamps boys still looking for their first hits, respectively, of this ISC World Tournament. I'm sure they will find the mark before too much longer. Blair, you talked right off the top about how critical the rise ball might be for Sean this week. Well, it's in pretty good stead this afternoon.
There's a change up. It's not the full change from Cleary where he gears it down into the low 60s, high 50s. But if you're looking for Sean's hard stuff at 78, 80, 82, and he comes in with something that is 68, 70, it'll knock you off speed.
And now he's really starting to do what he does best. And for me, that's hit his spots. When he's at his best, it is absolute surgery out there. Precision.
There's the full change up, and that one just off the corner.
Facing Barterillo.
You just had a look at the backdrop that the players see when they look out against the pitcher. This beautiful facility carved
awesome.
out of the forest here in Surrey in British Columbia, Canada's Pacific coast. High hopper on the infield, Galino, so smooth, double tap and throws out. Bartarillo with ease, 6-3 on your scorecard, pretty to watch.
That's a strong arm. Bouncing around a little bit, set himself. Zip. One thing about players, whether it's softball or baseball from that part of the world, it's not always how you would teach it. It's very, I'm trying to think of an adjective to describe it. It's almost flamboyant. That's not the right word.
No, but it reminds me of the way that the Brazilians play their football, our soccer,
Yes.
with some flair.
There's, yes.
We both got to it.
Yes.
Swing and a miss by Spencer Yackel. Cleary looking to have his first clean inning. For the Norsemen, you need to do anything here to break up the rhythm that he's got onto. He's got 5 in a row, 3 of those by strikeout. I'm not sure that stepping in and out of the box is going to do anything other than make Sean Cleary slow down his game even further.
Yeah, he does not work like Harrison Peters.
That misses upstairs. But with Sean, he's so cerebral about it because every pitch is setting up the next pitch. And if you're going to play cat and mouse, you're not going to win that game with Sean Cleary. You're not going to get him upset. He's not going to do what we saw in the previous game, get upset at an umpire and launch one at the backstop.
Yeah, and the guy that he works with should never be taken for granted in this duo either.
Oh, without a doubt. You said off the top, these two have been a pair together for the better part of 15 years. Their success has mostly been hand in hand, not exclusively, but largely been hand in hand. And when you're thinking 2-3 pitches ahead, it's as much Ryan as it is Sean.
For absolute certain. I'm not sure if Ryan will have interest when he's done, but I could see him very much as one of the best coaches in this game.
Well, I think he's got some involvement already in minor ball with the Avalon Wave down in the peninsula there.
He does.
Change up just off the corner. Bolin has been ready to snap the ball down to Riley James for the last 3 pitches.
And even this little conversation, that's just, you're always working for the next pitch. Always. That's part of being a catcher. He thought he had the last 2.
Well, he gets him here to chase again, and there's that rise ball with the elevation. Spencer Yackel chases it up and out of the zone. Another 2 strikeouts for Sean Cleary, now 7 on the afternoon, and his first clean inning. And Peter, that's 6 in a row. You could fairly say maybe that roll is underway.
It is underway. I don't think there's one iota of doubt about it.
Welcome to Mont Hill Golf and Country Club. With our beautiful 27-hole golf course open to the public, we work tirelessly to ensure your time with us is second to none.
Cable.
Well, here you'll be able to enjoy an incredible dining experience at our very own Big Pete's Steakhouse. Play some of the best courses in the world with our state-of-the-art golf simulators. Upgrade your gear with the top brands at our pro shop, or host a stunning wedding, event, or conference inside one of our beautiful ballrooms. Learn all this and more at monthill.ca. We can't wait to see you soon.
Well, there's the main stadium that you see here at Softball City. We are located right at the top left of that red section that was in the middle. Under Norsemen, Julian Fernandez, the designated player, on to pitch. Sammy Villavazu goes 3 innings, gives up the 5 runs on 6 hits, just the 1 walk, but some hard hit balls. Jason Hill's double, and of course that booming home run off the bat of Travis Jones.
Fernandez, also from Argentina, listed as Santa Rosa, Argentina, not Paraná.
He's spent some time across the Midwest with Ostrander right now, but the HI Reapers, the Bar Buzz.
He played with Circle Tap last year?
I think he did play with Circle Tap last year indeed, as that one was far too close for comfort too. We're going to need a bigger tent, to paraphrase.
Yeah, that was quite terrifying, to be honest. Although if it hits the top of this head, only good things could happen.
There's just nowhere to go with that.
No, there isn't.
No.
Hey, listen, if you can't poke fun at yourself.
Riley James swings and misses. So Julian Fernandez comes on and records a strikeout immediately here in the bottom of the 4th inning to Jordan Pomeroy, and then back to the top of the shop, Brandon Horn. Peter, a reminder to everybody, you can follow along for the whole tournament on Game Changer. We've set things up so that you should be able to go in and check on the stats and things like that. As this one is flared down the right side, it's foul territory, but Bartarillo will reach back and make the grab, just ranging back onto the warning track beside the grass.
Nice play by Tyrone. Had to go a ways to make that play. Fernandez has come in and recorded a couple of quick outs, and when you trail by 5, that is most certainly welcome.
And it's been a busy day and continues to be a busy day here at the ISC World Tournament. Peter, this is the day that has the most scheduled games here on Monday.
Interesting.
As we continue to forge through the winners bracket, the round of 16, the losers bracket is well underway. We're moving teams into the ISC 2 tournament, and there'll be some initial games played in that as well here this evening. So lots of action. All 4 diamonds here in use at the complex. So in addition to this one, Ohio Bombers, Richmond Rays, Waterdown Hammer. It's on their 2nd game of the day for the Hammer. Midland Explorers lost early this morning to the New York Gremlins. They're back in action. STK. Losers early, but now Big 10-0 winners over the Pegasus Redmen. So lots of games on the go and quite a few teams playing too. This one is punched out to left. It's going to carry by Brandon Horn out near the fence. Tom Check, who's been a busy guy out in left field, runs that one down. And a 3-up, 3-down inning for Julian Fernandez to give his team a chance to get back on the sticks.
For the best Bear Tent banter on the airwaves, listen to Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly. Here's some of the biggest stars chatting with 2 of Newfoundland's own, Jason Hill and Steve Mullally. It's unfiltered and uncensored. Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly, wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's talk about a local one-stop shop. Live Well for Life is just that, a fitness, nutrition, and therapy facility all under one roof. Located at 3878 Wellington Street in Mitchell, Ontario, you can get so much done in just one visit. A full complement of staff on hand include chiropractic, massage, and personal training to get you back to your healthy self. Find them on the web at livewellforlifeinc.com
or get
Live Well for Life, a proud sponsor of the broadcast program.
For something sweeter, Bob offers mini donuts with toppings to appeal to everyone.
So Conrado Zanutini, Brent Meschke, Tom Check, 7-8-9 for Ostrander. Sean Cleary has been very effective, Peter, the last couple of innings as he has set the Ostrander Norsemen down in order. But even as you mentioned, the base runners that the Norsemen were getting, a couple of walks, an infield base hit, nobody has been able to square up Sean Cleary here this afternoon.
Not yet. Justin Schofield, by the way, another Canadian national team member. He was the captain of the team in Prince Albert this summer in the qualifier. Took that role very seriously. And he is starting to loosen for Bear Creek.
Well, in conversation with Terry Bader, now Terry has been the self-described high-performance director, kind of like the general manager for the Express over the course of the summer. He said that they may go with the committee approach here with pitching this week. If they could get Sean through 4, they might go with Adam. Here's a chopper on the infield, adeptly picked up by James, and a strong throw over to Hill at first to get Zanatini. That's not an easy play. He makes it look routine to do this on the run.
This is great hands. Had to come up with that hop, moving away from the target and still threw it very well to get Zanutini. But I love the hands that he showed on the...
It took a bit of a high hop on him, and he had to feel that up near his head. Normally you want that around your midriff.
And getting back, you talked about you won't be surprised.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised to have seen Schofield come on for the 5th and maybe the 6th, and then Folkert for the 7th. They talked about maybe pitching by committee. But Cleary has looked so good here today. You almost want him to develop that muscle memory of going deep into a game.
The other interesting thing, and you have far more experience than I do at watching these players on a very regular basis, is Schofield as comfortable in relief as he is as a starter. He did not look that way to me in a couple of appearances in Prince Albert. He was dynamite in PA for Team Canada, but did his best work as a starter.
Well, and I think most pitchers, particularly in fastball, where the notion of a relief pitcher or a closer is not a common thing.
No.
Just about all of them will say, yeah, I'd rather start the game, and certainly would rather start an inning. Coming in mid-inning is anathema to most of these guys, if not all of them.
You know what's somewhat fascinating, though, Blair? On the women's side of this sport, there is more and more of a committee-type approach.
Yeah, and it's been used to success here, most recently by Hill United in 2021, where they won the World Tournament using 3 guys every game. And this is a staff that could do that with Cleary and Schofield and Folkert. You could do that easily.
Especially if you can get people in a rhythm where you almost designate so you know you're ready, you know, mentally. Because I think that's the challenge, too, is, you know, whatever the sport is, if you're not used to it mentally when you get the ball, your routine is affected. And, you know, in these cases, unless it's a set time frame, you can't always get ready.
No, you can't. If you know I'm pitching the 4th and the 5th, or the 5th and the 6th, or whatever it is, this is lifted up to center. Pomeroy, 4 steps back, hauls it in for another 1-2-3 inning. We'll pick up this particular conversation on the flip side. Another 1-2-3 inning for Cleary. He's gotten onto the roll 100%.
This business was opened in 1965 by my father, Ned Matiosi. Could have walked in here 25, 30 years ago and seen just about the same thing. The process of making this suit takes about 6 weeks. It goes through about 12 or 13 hands as it's moved along the line. It's an old-time place. Making stuff from scratch here in the city at a reasonable cost. It's a very personal type of business.
Travis Jones, 1 for 2, a ground out to the shortstop, but a booming moonshot in the third out to right field that made its way to the parking lot, cleared the game fence and the perimeter fence.
And that was not off the current pitcher. That was off the starter, Sammy Villavazzo.
Called a strike on the outside corner. That is Julian Fernandez. Come on in relief. Had a 1-2-3 inning in the fourth.
Travis was 0 for 4 at the tournament last year. He has 4 hits already in this one.
He did not, obviously with only 4 at-bats, get much playing time last year and was not thrilled about it. I know and he had some conversations with the coaching staff about what his role was going to be this year. He played a lot early as David Galino did not get here until, I want to say, till the Chiefs Challenge. And Travis Jones, who can play infield, can play outfield, spent a little bit of time at short, at second base, DP here today, and I think that's a good spot for him if he can get, as I flinch at the 20,000-foot high screen, protecting us from foul balls just like that.
You can tell, though, when a batter is locked in. That swing, he was all over that pitch.
And the thing with Travis is he's one of the best bad ball hitters in the game. Even the pitch that he hit for a home run was at the letters. It wasn't like it was middle. It was middle up. But I've seen Travis hit the ball out of the park at his eyes and off his shoe tops. He's hard to get the ball by. Ball 4 there to Jones, the designated player. A leadoff walk, and that'll bring up Tommy Anoka. So leading off, Jones does the job and sets the table for 3, 4, and 5. And now he'll give way to Tyler Pauli, a pinch runner. And those two, Jones and Pauli, along with Ty Sebastian, have been on a rotating basis the ISC Canada East Players of the Year going back to the inception of that award. And when did we start that, Joe? 2018? Somebody wake up Joe.
He's resting.
He's resting.
And who could blame him? Well, Bear Creek actually now in a position to shorten the game.
Bottom of the 5th, they are a swing away.
This is still a very, I know they've had some losses, but it's still a very deep Bear Creek team.
I think the knock on this team and what has been the experience this year, and you can't argue, like they were just above 500 this year. They came into the tournament 17 wins, 14 losses, 1 tie.
The talent says it should be much better than that.
On paper, it should be much better than that. I'm going to say something. I'll probably get in trouble for saying it. They've looked old.
They've looked
They've
old.
looked old this year. This is not a young team.
No.
Like, let's face it, this is not a young team. You've got guys in their late 30s into their 40s.
But is it really that much different than some of the other high-end teams when it comes to age?
It seemed like it this year for this team. Now, they've piled up 19 runs and counting in less than 2 games so far here. Peaking at the right time, maybe experience is something that comes into account there. You know when to peak at the right time. Well, Tommy Anoka hits it to the shortstop, and they go the short way and erase Paulai at second.
Well, that was fun to watch. Good turn by Meshke, too. Can't get Anoka, but not without a terrific try. I like this Ostrander team. I really do. I think they have a very bright future. They have some great young players, some good veterans. I like this group. I really do.
And we're not just saying that because their coach is up here adjusting his phone.
No, and I'm not. Although it's good timing.
Brett Legler, sorry, Peter, you go ahead.
I was just going to talk about, all the speed they have in the outfield. Like, there's something to work with here. Now, maybe not the type of power that some of the other teams have. That's probably where they give way a little bit. But guess what? With some time and experience, I like the makeup of the roster.
Yeah, that's not their game, the power game. They're not going to outslug teams, but they will win with speed, with defense, and by hitting gap to gap. And they came in with a slightly better than 500 record. They were ranked 13th, I want to say, coming in, and that's about where they should be. They're in the midfield. Flared foul down the line by Galino.
Yeah, in the infield, part of it for sure, but with some 21 and 22s and 23s and 24s.
Yeah, they've got, as you said, the future looks really good. Brett Legler, who leads the Ostrander Norsemen, he was up here adjusting his phone because he records every game for their training purposes. They can go back and look at their at-bats.
Yeah, they've struggled to hit today. But Viavazo was great in the first game. Obviously not to the same extent. Pitching and power, obviously a massive part of the game, but
yeah, and they've had a couple of good pitchers go through their program who have moved on to higher-ranked teams. Brad Kilpatrick was with this team the last couple of seasons before going on to AWP this year. Daniel Chapman broke into the ISC with Ostrander. So there's an eye for talent there, and I like the way that Brett has gone about building his team. He's not a big money operation. He's got a lot of local talent here, and then he's supplementing that where he can. Boland swings at the rise ball.
Yeah, Ryan flinched a little bit after that swing. He hoped he's okay. Looks a little uncomfortable and ginger as he steps back in.
Well, and immediately slashes one out to right field, and something is off with the right foot for sure as he has hobbled his way down to first, and he's going to get a pinch runner, and I would expect to see Dallas Cornelius likely come out to be, well, it's 2 out, so they can get Galino to run for him, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Dallas Cornelius on to catch the rest of the game.
I don't like to see that.
No, that's not a good sign if you're a Bear Creek fan. Ryan Boland hobbled on his way off the field.
And I think it happened more so on the pitch prior to that. As I mentioned, he looked very uncomfortable after the previous pitch.
Flexing down here. I wonder if it's the hip.
He still managed to power one for a base hit, but hope he's okay.
Oh, and this is where the training staff is going to have to need to hold him back, too. You don't need to send Ryan Boland back out in a 5-0 lead for the last couple of innings. Dallas Cornelius should be able to handle that. And They need Ryan Boland for later in the week, not later today.
Well, that hit Walsh. But it must have got a piece of the bat as well, as he's going to go back and reset himself. Colin has had a perfect day at home plate. He's 2 for 2.
Well, now we're going to have a quick conference here because I think Walsh is saying it absolutely hit me, but, well, I thought they were going to gather the umpires. I thought that's what Kevin Wallace was asking for, but nobody seems to want to send Colin Walsh down to first base.
Well, Mike Morrissey over there, I think he put up the right arm to indicate a strike when it was appealed to him.
Well, and that's the question is, you're right, it may have hit him, but did he also swing? Well, 1-1 is the count, so there's your answer.
Do you run Galeno here to get him in scoring position?
Maybe now at 2-1. I don't know that you want to force it to take the bat out of Walsh's hand, but I always liked to have guys in motion. Don't end the inning with the guy standing still at first. Chopper on the infield, going to have to hurry to get Walsh. They do by a step and a half. Ducharme, very rock solid defensively.
Let's talk about a local one-stop shop. Live Well for Life is just that, a fitness, nutrition, and therapy facility all under one roof. Located at 3878 Wellington Street in Mitchell, Ontario, you can get so much done in just one visit. A full complement of staff on hand include chiropractic, massage, and personal training to get you back to your healthy self. Find them on the web at livewellforlifeinc.com or give
Live Well for Life, a proud sponsor of the broadcast program.
Peligro Sports provides the essentials needed to give your team an edge on the field. Our brand is rooted in creating a unique experience tailored to the specific needs of your team to ensure your performance is at the best level to execute plays. At Peligro Sports, we rally behind our athletes and understand their fight to take their game to a dangerous level. Visit our store at 2200 Amsterdam Avenue in New York City or see us online at peligrosportsnyc.com. Thanks to Jose and Peligro Sports for their support of the broadcast program.
Now pitching for Bear Creek Express, number 41, Justin Schofield.
So a new pitcher for the Bear Creek Express as we go to the top of the sixth inning. Justin Schofield on in relief for Sean Cleary. Cleary gives up just the lone hit. Had retired the last 9 batters consecutively. Finishes up with 8 strikeouts, 2 walks. And comes in like a house on fire, blows a rise ball right past Julian Fernandez. So you asked the question, is he comfortable coming in relief? Certainly looked like it on that first pitch. And the second.
I love watching him. I have no trouble. I like watching a lot of people play the sport, obviously, but I don't know. I feel a bit of a kinship with this guy, and the reason is he's such a joy to talk to.
Well, some good wheels there shown by Julian Fernandez. Not a great throw by Riley James, as Jason Hill had to move to his right and dig it out of the dirt. He caught it, and play was closer than maybe I thought it was going to be coming out of the box, but an infield base hit for Julian Fernandez.
The other thing about Schofield, and I use the phrase a lot, and I'll use it again for the first of many times this week, he throws every pitch, Blair, like it's his last. And I was lucky enough, I not really spent any time with him, but I had a great 15-minute conversation with him in Prince Albert in preparation for that event. He blew me away. I could talk this game with him for 3 straight weeks, and I don't think I'd ever get bored.
Bolin gets the high hop out in front of the plate, throws out Gonzalo Ojeda. Well, nothing seemed to be wrong with Ryan Bolin there, Peter, as he came out of the crouch and got that one down to first okay.
Yeah, but you'd have to put the guy in handcuffs and maybe in jail to keep him out of the game. And he'd still probably find his way back.
Well, I joked with Jason Gerbies down at the WBSC as he was doing that event in New Zealand that the bone needs to be sticking out of the skin.
You're right.
To get Boland out of the game.
I mean, you're right in this case. I mean, you hope he's okay, but this might have been a spot for him to get a little extra work going into tomorrow, but you can't keep him out.
But I also wonder if he knew that Schofield was coming in and that Schof would be preferring. Not there's anything wrong with Dallas Cornelius, don't get me wrong, but Ryan Bolin, one of the top 5 catchers in the game. I know Schofield has a tremendous comfort level pitching to Ryan.
Well, those two guys in some ways are like 2 peas in a pod.
I would agree, yeah. They approach the game the same way, high intensity, little volatility.
It's the change-up that time that's bunted.
Well, I don't know that anybody fouled it off or got a piece of it. I think that hit Kevin Wallace in the chest protector.
The most interesting part of the conversation with Justin in Prince Albert was how he used COVID to reinvent himself, his mechanics, the work that he did. It made him a better pitcher. And how many people could say that point of our lives turned you into something better? He can, legitimately. And it's because of the work. And I'm always such a big believer, and frankly, that's where the kinship comes from, is he'd be the first to tell you that he has gotten better. And yes, does he throw in the low 80s? Absolutely. But it's his work.
Yeah, he's a guy who put in the work, 150, 200 pitches a day, every day through COVID. He was pitching, and he got his catcher, Patrick Stewart, to drive an hour. They were both driving an hour each way to meet in the middle in East Hants to throw 100 pitches a night, as this one is skied up to shallow right. Travis Jones, who came on defensively after Walsh got hit in the hand in the at-bat in the bottom of the previous inning. So it's Travis Jones out in right field now. He makes the grab. But that was in early October. And you know what the weather is like in Nova Scotia in early October. It's single digits Celsius.
Most of the
time,
time,
and they're out
indeed.
there throwing in the evening. And that was for Schofield to get ready to go down to New Zealand that year for the World Cup. That's the dedication that this guy brings. I've known Justin since 2012. And I know firsthand the work that he puts in and the dedication that he brings to his craft.
Yeah, I'm a massive fan.
And he's a hell of a nice guy, too.
He's fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. It's funny. I've interviewed a lot of athletes in my lifetime as a 4-decade broadcaster, and that conversation is one that will stay with me for a long time. I've had a lot, Blair, over the years that, to be frank, didn't make much of an impact. That 15, 20 minutes stay with me till the rest of time. And I could say the same thing about the visit I had with Ryan Boland and Simcoe, too.
Yeah, the genuine...
It's the love and the passion that both those guys have for this game and what it means to them and what they're all about.
Big cut comes up empty. Braden Ducharme. Coming up, Toronto Batmen and Oma Tigre. Well, it looks like the Batmen have changed their location to Tavistock. I'm sure that's just a Freudian slip by Coach Kevin Zare, who also coaches the Tavistock U23 team.
That's funny. Well, there's been a few things I've noticed that have been a little interesting on the old lineup cards in the last 3 days, including some mixed up numbers.
Well, Kevin coaches the U23 Tavistock squad. They've been gold medal winners in U20 and in U23. Didn't get to the medal stand this year, but he's had some success. He coached the Toronto Batmen last year at the Canadiens and has come back into it due to some illnesses. And actually, we do want to wish Lee Jacques well. Unable to make it due to some health issues. As waving at that one is Ducharme, Brennan Ducharme. Schofield gives up the funny-looking single, but other than that is money in the bank for Bear Creek. We'll pick up the Toronto Batmen Oma Tigre story on the other side, but the Schofield Admiration Society will continue too.
Dreamcatcher, inch by inch, we'll fight to make the lives of First Nations people in this community, this province, and on this continent better. I know we have a long way to go, but I'm proud to say as long as our people have a need, Dreamcatcher will be there for them.
Bottom of the sixth inning, leading off for first base number.
Jason Hill's got an RBI double and a run scored in this one. Riley James, Jordan Pomeroy, 7-8-9 for Bear Creek. Bottom of the sixth inning, facing Julian Fernandez, first pitch swinging as he often does. Jason Hill, fly ball out to right field, and Brennan Ducharme will go get that one for the first out of the inning.
Yeah, if you're going to find green in the outfield, it needs to be in a good spot. There is not anyone in left, center, or right who does not run well and cover a lot of ground, whether it's Yackel, Check, or Ducharme.
Yeah, you're almost going to have to hit something on a line to get it past those guys. Anything up in the air, they're going to go track it down, unless it's out of the park, of course.
Well, nobody was tracking down Travis Jones' blast a couple innings ago. Not unless you're Spider-Man. And he might not have got to it. That'd turn you into Peter Parker in a heartbeat.
I had to use the web shooter, maybe.
Very nice. Loved that as a kid. See, those old memories, they never go away for us. There's a lot of scientific evidence, too, about how young, youthful memories stay with you. It's not by accident.
You remember the good times, assuming they were good.
You remember the bad times, too. But we're having a great time in this.
And where would you rather be on a Monday afternoon?
I wouldn't have too many other choices. I can honestly say that.
Riley James down on strikes, that outside rise ball. Just to finish the starting pitchers for our next matchup, Toronto Batmen, Oma Tigre, Ryo Koyama from Japan, Tai Sebastian from Ontario.
So Tai had 20 strikeouts in their opening game win, which is also quite interesting when you think about his last appearance in this facility, which was the championship game of the Canadian Senior Men's Championship. He had more than 20 strikeouts in that game in the 15-inning marathon win over Sean Cleary, who started this game today.
It all goes full circle. You could argue that Sebastian picked right up where he left off.
Literally. If he does it again, then that would be some story.
He'll be moving out here.
He and Patrick Burns on the offensive side.
Yeah, Patrick certainly enjoys playing here too, doesn't he?
Well, 2 more hits in that come-from-behind win earlier today against Grand Prairie, or against AWP for Grand Prairie. He was 15 for 20, Blair, in the Canadian last year. He's now 5 for 7 this week.
Pomeroy to Hopper, out to Brent Meshke at second. Easy toss to first, and a 1-2-3 inning for Julian Fernandez. We'll go to the top of the 7th. Ostrander Norsemen need an epic comeback worthy of North's mythology.
No score.
So Tyron Bartarillo, Spencer Yackel, and Conrado Zanutini, scheduled batters for the Ostrander Norsemen to face Justin Schofield on here for his second inning of relief. Just misses down low to Bartarillo.
Justin from Grand Prairie, Nova Scotia. Only threw 8 innings here last year, talking about not in here, but at this event.
Flared, and that's going to go fouled on the left side, just over the screen, looped it over the screen.
He did appear in the championship final, though.
Yeah, it was a tough outing for Schofield in that championship. Really, it was just one inning where just didn't happen for Justin. and maybe was in an inning earlier than expected. In the 5th instead of the 6th. Just misses on the inside corner.
He has come out of the pen throwing very hard. And it's a heavy ball, too.
I've never batted against Schoaf, but I would imagine it'd be like hitting a shot put.
They've actually made some contact. Nobody's gotten through one yet on him. But the one thing is, when you throw that hard, it has a chance to go a long way in the other direction if you get it.
To Hopper. Brandon Horn turn and flip to first. One down here, top of the 7th inning. That will be amongst the easiest plays that Brandon Horn will get to make this week. Right at him, and a nice generous second hop.
Yeah, nice country hop, as it can be referred to.
Spencer Yackel, he is 0 for 1, had a beautiful looking sack bunt back in the 2nd inning.
Yeah, really good speed. Had himself a quality ASA national tournament. Hits have been hard to come by today for the Ostrander Norsemen after they scored 7 runs in their opening game win against the Sydney, Australia Tropics. Just the one hit.
And it was the infield hit that took a bit of a turn after hitting a divot inside the pitching circle, too. That's the only chink in the armor here today.
Sean Cleary with 5 excellent innings to begin the game for the Express.
Chases upstairs. Spencer Yackel does not catch up to that big rise ball from Justin Schofield.
His second strikeout. And after a couple of early change-ups in the count, Blair, how much juice did that one look like it had?
Well, and at the eyes, too. I mean, clearly it was too good to lay off. But that's what makes Schofield's changeup so effective, is it does offset so much from his hard stuff. And the pitch that he's worked really hard on the last couple of years and he's really developed is the rise ball.
And that's the pitch that in that chat we had,
yeah,
he talked about changing his mechanics and working that pitch to throw it in 2 or 3 different zones far more effectively. That's the one pitch that he spoke about where he did the most work.
Yeah, because when he came up out of junior in 2011, he had a great drop and he's always had the good changeup. But his rise ball was never a threat for a strike, and you could eliminate that as a batter. But the last, I would say, 3 years, and the timing post-COVID really does work out. Schoaf has worked hard at being able to work the rise ball in that low one that you just saw for a strike, and then can elevate it, very similar to Cleary in many regards, where it starts at the letters and climbs up out of the zone and get guys to chase.
Well, there it comes
again.
There
it is right there. So a complete game up and down for the Bear Creek Express. 5 solid innings from Sean Cleary. Schofield virtually perfect in relief. A dominating 5-0 win for the Bear Creek Express. They will continue in the winner's bracket. Ostrander will drop down and will play tomorrow Bear Creek will advance and will take on Glowworm tomorrow night. That'll be an interesting matchup too, because there's a team on a roll. If you didn't hear, 2-1 winners in 9 innings over Circle Tap first thing this morning. Want to thank Luciano Lafrano, Carol D'Areste, Peter Labardius for jumping in on short notice and saving you from having to listen to me solo, Joe Todd, Marvin the Music Man. Thanks for being with us. Come back shortly for Toronto Batman and Oma Tigre. Coming up next on the ISC Network.
For the latest in softball innovation, the website where you can experience the best tournaments in the Americas.
Live games, news, tournaments, and much, much more.
Is this game supposed to start at 6?
The best quality live softball. Yes. On demand, so you can watch when you want.
After 6?
Become a Premier member now. SoftballPremierTV.com.